The rain hammered against the diner window like
I
a
need you to
thousand desperate
understand,
fingers seeking
this
shelter.
is bigger than us.
Inside, Marcus Chen wiped down the counter for the third time that hour, his tired eyes drifting to the clock. 10 more minutes until closing. 10 more minutes until he could go home to his daughter, who was probably already asleep at the neighbor's house. Being a single father wasn't the life he'd imagined, but it was the one he'd been given when his wife walked out 3 years ago, leaving him with a 6-year-old and a mountain of questions he'd never get answered. The bell above the door chimed, and Marcus looked up to see a young woman stumble inside, soaked to the bone. She couldn't have been more than 19, her clothes hanging off her thin frame, her sneakers held together with duct tape. Her eyes darted around the empty diner with the wariness of someone who'd learned the hard way that the world wasn't kind to people like her. "We're about to close," Marcus said, but his voice lacked conviction. He'd been hungry before. He knew that look. "I'm sorry," she whispered, already turning back toward the door. "I just thought maybe." "When's the last time you ate?" Marcus interrupted. The girl froze, her hand on the door handle. "Yesterday morning, I think. Maybe the day before." Her voice cracked on the last word. Marcus sighed, already reaching for a clean plate. "Sit down. I'll make you something." "I don't have any money," she said quickly, her cheeks flushing red even beneath the grime. "I wasn't trying to. Did I ask for money?" "Sit." Marcus gestured to the counter stool, and after a moment's hesitation, she sat. Her name was Sarah, and she told him her story between desperate bites of the grilled cheese sandwich and tomato soup he'd placed in front of her. She'd aged out of foster care 6 months ago. Lost her job at a grocery store when the owner's nephew needed work. Got evicted from the room she'd been renting. She'd been sleeping in bus stations and under bridges, trying to figure out her next move. "I'm not looking for pity," Sarah said, meeting his eyes with a pride that broke something in Marcus's chest. "I've been applying everywhere. I just need one break. One person to give me a chance." Marcus studied her for a long moment. He saw something in her eyes that reminded him of himself at that age, a fierce determination not to let circumstances define her. "I'm short a morning waitress. Kelly quit last week to go back to school. Pay isn't great, but it's steady. Tips can be decent if you're good with people." Sarah's spoon clattered against the bowl. "Are you serious? You'd need to be here at 5:30. Think you can manage that?" Tears streamed down her face, cutting clean paths through the dirt on her cheeks. "I'll be here at 5. I'll be the best waitress you've ever had. I promise." 5:30, Marcus corrected with a small smile. "And you'll need somewhere to stay. I've got a storage room in the back with a cot. It's not much, but it's warm and dry. You can use it until you get your first paycheck and find something better." Sarah couldn't speak. She just nodded, her shoulders shaking with silent sobs. That night marked a turning point for both of them. Sarah wasn't just the best waitress Marcus had ever hired, she was a force of nature. She memorized regulars' orders after one visit, remembered their kids' names, and had them laughing within minutes. The diner's receipts climbed steadily. More importantly, she became part of Marcus's small family. His daughter, Emma, adored her. Sarah helped with homework, taught Emma to braid her hair, filled a space that had been empty for so long. One evening, about 4 months after Sarah started working at the diner, she and Marcus sat at the counter. After closing, Emma was doing her homework in a nearby booth. "I got accepted," Sarah said quietly, sliding an envelope across the counter. Marcus opened it and read the letter. "Full scholarship to the state university. Business program." "Sarah, this is incredible. I never thought I'd go to college. Never even let myself dream about it." She paused, twisting her hands together. "I'm going to miss you and Emma so much. You two saved my life." "You saved your own life," Marcus said firmly. "We just gave you a meal and a paycheck." "No." Sarah's voice was fierce now. "You gave me hope when I had none. You treated me like I mattered when the world told me I didn't." She took a deep breath. "I'm going to make something of myself, Marcus. I'm going to be successful. And when I am, I'm coming back here. I'm going to help you expand this place, turn it into something amazing." And, she laughed, embarrassed, "This is going to sound crazy, but I'm going to marry you. When I'm not a broken girl anymore. When I'm someone who deserves someone as good as you." Marcus felt his heart stutter. "Sarah, you don't have to. I know I don't have to. But I want to. You'll see. I keep my promises." The years that followed were harder than Marcus expected. He missed Sarah's energy in the diner, missed her presence in their lives. He and Emma followed her progress through occasional texts and phone calls that grew less frequent as Sarah's life filled with classes, internships, and opportunities. He was proud of her, even as the silence stretched longer. 7 years passed. Emma was now a teenager, and Marcus was grayer, more tired. The diner was struggling. The neighborhood was changing, and a corporate coffee chain had opened across the street. He'd taken out loans to keep the place afloat, but he knew he was running out of time. The bank had started sending letters about foreclosure. Then one Tuesday morning, a black sedan pulled up outside the diner. Marcus watched through the window as a woman stepped out, and his heart stopped. She wore a tailored suit and carried herself with confidence, but he'd recognize those eyes anywhere. "Hi, Marcus," Sarah said, her voice thick with emotion. He came around the counter and pulled her into a hug. She clung to him, and for a moment, she was 19 again, soaked and scared and desperate. "I'm sorry I haven't been around," she said when they finally pulled apart. "I needed to make sure I had everything in place before I came back." "In place for what?" Sarah smiled. "Remember my promise. I told you I'd help you expand this place." She pulled out a folder from her bag. "I've spent the last 2 years building a restaurant investment company. We specialize in family-owned establishments with heart. Places like yours. I want to be your partner, Marcus. I want to turn this diner into a chain that proves kindness is good business." Marcus stared at the documents, unable to process what he was seeing. "Sarah, I can't let you. And I still want to marry you," she interrupted, her cheeks flushing the way they had that first night. "If you'll have me. Not because I owe you, but because in 7 years, I never met anyone who made me feel the way you do. Like I matter. Like I'm home." Marcus's eyes filled with tears. "I'm 12 years older than you. I have a teenage daughter. I'm probably going to lose this diner in 3 months. I'm not exactly a catch. You're the best man I've ever known," Sarah said simply. "So what do you say? Business partners first, and maybe, something more." Marcus looked at this extraordinary woman who'd walked into his life on a rainy night, and he thought about all the moments that had led them here. Sometimes kindness is just kindness, offered freely without expectation of return. But sometimes, if you're very lucky, it comes back to you multiplied beyond measure. "I say yes," he whispered. "To all of it." Emma, who'd been watching from the kitchen doorway, let out a whoop of joy. Sarah laughed and opened her arms, and Emma ran into them. Marcus joined them, and for the first time in years, he felt something he'd almost forgotten. Hope. The rain started again outside, but inside the diner, everything was warm and bright and full of possibility.